Cool. So, welcome to Will's weekly football roundup. I might just slightly adjust myself there. Seems nice, better now. Cool. So, obviously, the big footballing news, besides the Ballon d'Or, which I've covered to death on my TikTok, I'm going to look that up, is of the appointment of Ruben Amirom for Man United. Though it was sort of with Ten Hag having lost his job with the defeat at West Ham. They moved quickly to get him. However, I think it wasn't a secret that he was the main target. I was just waiting for everything to be fully confirmed. Everyone sort of knew it was him. I think I think the procedures sort of with football clubs within Portugal are slightly different. As well as that, there is sort of the financial side of it, which we will get onto in a bit. Cool. So I'm going to have a quick breakdown of his history. A quick look into his tactics and potentially some players that might benefit or suffer because of his style of play. Cool. So Ruben Amirom was only a couple of weeks. I believe he's sort of a very similar age to Cristiano Ronaldo. Still a very young manager. Hasn't hit 40 yet. He actually played with Ronaldo in several international tournaments as a player. He was a midfielder for Benfica, however, retired sort of a little bit sort of earlier on, sort of in 2017, of which he managed to win several trophies. It's a successful sort of time for Benfica, winning the league title on several occasions, the Portuguese equivalent of the FA Cup and League Cup, and obviously sort of doing fairly well internationally to be sort of getting said caps. Sort of from 2017, he then sort of decided to go quickly into coaching. Unfortunately, he was forced to resign from his coaching role at Casa Pia due to disagreements with the Portuguese Football Federation. However, managed to quickly get himself a job for Braga, sort of the Braga B team. However, due to his sort of success and the lack of success from the first team manager, it didn't take too long for him to sort of get the next job, as it were, within sort of December 2017. So you can see, obviously, he retired 2017, having had sort of a couple of quick jobs sort of then and there. Within his first season, he managed to win the Taco de Liga, which is I've basically called the Portuguese League Cup, sort of equivalent. From there, he's obviously had quite a deal sort of success, maintaining sort of high finishes. In 2020, he became the manager of Sporting CP, which most people obviously recognise from now. He became the third most expensive manager of all time at that point, with a sort of £20 million, I believe it's pound and not euros, buyout clause at the time. Obviously, I can't quite sort of back up any figures whether that sort of would have been sort of the fee, the biggest sort of buyout fee at the time. Obviously, of him leaving, things might have changed. Other managers might have come in. Chelsea continuously circling through managers. I dare say one's probably had something similar to that. So from that, he then managed to guide the team and sort of at the start managed to guide the team to the double, as it were, sort of a cup and league double, ending the title drought at Sporting CP, which had been going on for 19 years. He managed to become the manager of the year 2020-2021, and managed to win the league title last season as well. Having sort of done solid enough in Europe, but not really making any dramatic sort of inroads into winning any of the sort of competitions in the Europa League and such. Obviously, you can't win one this for 24-25, because obviously that's John Man United. Cool. So that's a quick history and a quick look into him. So tactically, he is considered quite versatile, at least sort of in many aspects of play. But the one thing that stays the same with him is the 3-4-3 formation. That sort of seems to be the one consistent thing. But what has been said is that he can be quite flexible in how he chooses to play. Sometimes potentially having the high line and having the deep block, or sometimes sort of he can be comfortable with players sort of being with and without the ball. He usually thrives on his players being quite versatile, sort of being able to play many, sort of multiple roles within the team should there need to be a quick tactical change throughout the game. So this is one of the main things that he looks for in his play. As well as that, I suppose attacking wise, there is very much sort of getting the ball forward sort of quite quickly where he can, sort of looking at vertical passing, get it forward, trying to break the lines there, sort of getting in behind. He himself has a reputation of bringing through the youth of Sporting CP when they brought Amirom in. Were a team that were in a bit of chaos, having sort of several players having left due to sort of internal struggles and struggles with the fans. So he had to manage to bring through several sort of players through the youth academy with sort of very smart sort of transfers, of which so he should be looking at some of the talent available at Man United's academy, which has had some luck, to be fair, of recent years, having recently sort of brought through sort of the Garnachos, the Kobe Mainus. He's potentially looking for sort of a few more players through there, which might be vital for Man United as a team that don't seem to have a lot of money, or do. I can never quite tell. We're told that they're trying to balance the book sort of with financial fair play, but I dare say the Ten Hag sort of, for him to have lost his job, there's probably a bit of a payout there. As well as that, I always get told it's always a case of balancing the books with some of the players like Casemiro being on quite high wages to have brought them in the first place. But the 3-4, going back to the 3-4-3 formation, that front three aren't sort of what you'd call conventional wingers, as it were. They're more sort of attacking midfielders that like to sort of press. The main strength with the 3-4-3 comes through the use of the wing backs needing to be very athletic, being able to just get up and down, being able to be involved in attacks and sort of in defence, sort of quite similar to how Thomas Tuchel used to set up at Chelsea with people like Ben Chilwell and Reece James. So that in itself could potentially be problematic for Man United, sort of looking at players to benefit and to lose out, because one of the issues with United is their fullbacks. I think they've got depth potentially on the right, sort of the right hand side. I sort of quite like the Mazraoui, the Dalot. Left side, you want to have a sort of conventional one, sort of left footed. Luke Shaw can never seem to fully stay fit. I've no idea whether Terrell Malacia is ever going to play again. What sort of player you're going to get out of a player that's been injured for so long? There's no guarantee at what level he's come back out and his ability to perform for the club. So I do think in that situation that some of the wingers might benefit in this role that can defend as well as attack. So one of them, which I think could be a fun one, which we'll wait and see as to how he wants to play, might be someone like Amad Diallo benefiting from sort of the sort of 3-4-3, because he's someone that naturally has a lot of energy, and for a winger, his actual defensive stats are actually sort of fairly good. He does get involved. He does get involved in the press. He's someone that could benefit from the fact that there isn't what you'd consider a potential sort of left wing back available currently at Man United. As if Luke Shaw can't fully stay fit, if he can, Luke Shaw himself has proven sort of quite good as a left centre back potentially as well, which might not be as taxing on his body, sort of having to sort of bomb forward, sort of up and down, so that he might get some luck in there. Because one of the other issues with Man United is they don't have that many centre backs, or they're sort of seem to be picking up injuries with sort of Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire, who weren't expected to play too much, getting a lot of minutes, and in fairness, playing sort of very well and being some of United's better players. So you're looking at some of the centre backs potentially benefiting from this. Harry Maguire could be one of them, I believe, because he's someone that's always benefited from being in a back three. That's why he was so good at Leicester, and he's done well at England in that back three. His ability to potentially must be that blunt instrument to get your head on it, just get rid of it. So in my head, that back three would potentially look like Martinez as the left centre back, someone who's obviously naturally very good with the ball. The central centre back in an ideal world would potentially be Matthias de Ligt, with the right one sort of being Lenny Euro. Obviously, having the depth there might be some concern. So you might potentially look at Harry Maguire playing as the central centre back, or Mazraoui, who himself is sort of a very strong defender, looking at playing him in as potentially a right centre back at times, if needs be. His versatility, I think, is really going to be beneficial to Man United, either sort of as that right wing back, as it were, or as a right centre back. I think you're getting a lot of work out of someone, and which I'll be happy to say I think has been one of Man United's best signings, Mazraoui, from his sort of industrious sort of nature, his sort of ability to get forward, his ability to defend, his ability to press. Other players that I think are going to benefit, obvious ones would be Manuel Ugarte, who did sort of very well at Sporting CP originally before he got his move to PSG, as I think he will likely be sitting in the two centre mids, potentially him and Mainu, potentially him and Casemiro. We wait to see on that, because I think I don't want to sort of fully give up on Casemiro yet, because he's always got that game in him where he seems to actually benefit a bit more from going forward than sort of defensively, as it were. But obviously doesn't necessarily have the legs and mobility to get around the pitch to what's been asked of the sort of Ten Hag system. As well as that, I think Rasmus Højlund, I think it was in my head, he was always the Man United sort of main number 9, regardless of the signing of Xerxes. He is someone that could be considered as a similar mould to Gyökeres at Sporting CP, already managed to be he was one of the top goal scorers in sort of the top divisions within Europe, sort of outscoring people like Haaland last year, which is no small feat. Højlund, he matches up profile-wise, sort of very sort of physically, sort of very sort of strong, obviously good in the air. However, I am of the belief that Højlund is a better technical player. So I do very much see him sort of predominantly starting. Xerxes sort of being a bit on the bench. I'm sort of starting to question the Xerxes signing, because I don't think he's quite obviously the same mould of striker as your Højlunds. I also think that, as I've mentioned about the left wing-back role, that this might be a good chance for Harry Amas to start getting a few minutes. Ten Hag originally at the start of the season said this was going to be the season of Amas. He hasn't played for United. It's a position of need and he's not been playing him. I think Amorim's nature is going to be figuring out sort of his players and potentially just giving him a chance, because he's going to need players that are going to suit his system, and I think that could be a sort of quite a good gem there. My other worry potentially is sort of these attacking mids. This is going to sound really stupid because he is United's best player currently, but I'm unsure of Bruno Fernandes potentially playing there. It's not the skill set. His skill set is sort of very different to others that play in those positions for some of his previous clubs. Obviously, he's still going to regularly sort of start as one of those sort of attacking midfielders, or almost sort of wingers, as you'd say, potentially on the right, maybe on the left, maybe looking at a front three of sort of the Garnacho, Højlund, Fernandes, maybe, with the idea that Rashford sort of interchanges potentially on the right, because you don't see Fernandes in that as the two centre mids who are going to naturally have to cover a lot of ground, regardless of sort of the fact that having the 3 centre-backs should make them more solid defensively. But it makes it sort of very interesting whether this sort of style will transition well into the Premier League or not. But it's different. The style in itself is one of the reasons that Liverpool didn't end up actually going for Amirom before getting Slot, because it'd be too much of a change. They didn't want to rock the boat that much, hence their signing of Arne Slot, which in fairness seems to be working. Can't really criticise that. Well, time will tell on the tactics and the players. We're yet to see. We've got they'll be sort of starting up with his first game against Ipswich at Portman Road. So Van Nistelrooy's got one more game in charge, and Ipswich have got another week or so to prepare for Man United, which I'm sure McKenna with his ties will be up for it. But yeah, no, thank you very much. I'll see you later.